this week's episode, we take a look at a leak hinting at the return of a Dreamcast classic.
Plus, Nintendo announced an in-person event. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Barry, and this is episode 94 of the Retro Gaming Dads podcast, the podcast for everything retro and retro-inspired. So I finally managed to do it.
Do what?
I finally managed to catch Kerry up on Pokemon.
Oh, okay, so you're both at the same stage now? Whereabouts you at?
Well, don't tell her, but I'm actually a bit further. I've managed to do the Elite Four.
Don't tell her. She's going to listen to this podcast and be like, hang on a minute, he's beaten the Elite Four?
She won't know what the Elite Four is.
Fair enough. So, were they a bit of a pushover, or what were they like?
No, I had a lot more difficulty with them than I did when I originally done them back on Gen 1 and whatever Gen X and Y was. I think that was the last time I'd done the Elite Four, not including Let's Go Pikachu, which is basically Gen 1. The issue I had is I don't recognize most of these Pokemon anymore.
Oh, because a brand new Pokemon is kind of throws you off.
Yeah, there was one guy, I had my little electric burr thing. He sends out this fish, and I'm like, oh, I made the right choice bringing this out. Electric versus fish, obviously it's got to be water. No, it was rock.
Oh, so he just made you?
Oh, yeah, it just one-shotted me. And then I brought out my fire type, it one-shotted that. And then I brought out Gyarados because I thought, oh, I've got water. And it almost one-shotted him as well. I was like, oh, this is not going well.
So, did it take a couple of tries to get through it, or was it not too bad to get through?
No, I did get through it in one go. It was a bit touch and go at one point. Once you do the Elite Four, you're thrown straight into another battle with the champion. And that ended with both of us on our final Pokemon, and I was about one hit away from... If I'd have missed, I would have lost. So, it was pretty close. Yeah, it was pretty close.
You're like bricking going, please don't miss, please don't miss, please don't miss.
Yeah, because I didn't want to fight the... Well, the thing is, before you do the Elite Four as well, you need to do a test.
What do you mean?
Well, they sit you down and do an interview and they're like, so why do you want to become a champion? And they're asking questions. And then they go, which gym did you find the hardest? And I'm looking at them and thinking, I can't remember what gym's what. Just picked one and I went, now we're really going to test you. Who was the leader of that gym? I was like, oh no, I don't know. I don't even know which one I picked to look it up online. So I managed to pick the right gym leader. And then I went, and now the final question. What type of Pokemon did they use? I was like, oh, God. So I had to look that one up online. But I actually done it first and picked the wrong type of Pokemon and failed it. They went, no, sorry, you failed. Get out.
You have to redo
no.
it?
Yeah, you have to read it. This is like an interview before you go on to fight the Elite Four.
Okay.
But yeah, you fight the Elite Four, then you fight the current champion, and then you fight your rival. And you want to get to heal properly at a Poke Center once in between.
So it was a bit of a slug.
Yeah. Even with the rival, we were down to our final Pokemon as well.
So what's next in the game then, do you know?
Right, so I've done the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
I've done the Elite Four. So there's one more thing to do, which was beat Team Star, which is the group in the game. But it's hinted at that there's something else to do, and I need to try and find powerful trainers to ally with.
Yeah.
Before I go and do it. So I think there is some endgame content once I've done Team Star as well.
Well, at least you've kind of beaten the main portion of the game.
Yeah.
You've just got more bits to do afterwards. I've been a bit boring, and I've not been able to play anything at all this week, so...
I must admit, I've only been playing Pokemon while I've been in bed. I've been having a couple of, I say early nights, but I've been getting into bed early, but then being up until midnight playing Pokemon.
I was planning on playing Vampire Survivor during my lunch break today, but Lewis told me I had to watch some Mandalorian, so I caved.
Oh, right. With your little baby Yoda.
Yes. No, sorry, Grogu.
Baby Yoda. He's baby Yoda.
No, Grogu. Now, before we move on, we need to give a massive shout out to our 2 Patreon subscribers.
So, massive thank you to Bobby Socks and Short Gizmo. As always, your patronage is very much appreciated.
I got to go do something.
Go on. I know what you did, but for the benefit of everyone else listening, what did you do?
I watched a Super Mario Brothers movie, and it was fantastic.
You loved it so much you watched it a second time. You must be a really big Bob Hoskins fan.
I was about to say, no. If that ever came out again, I'll gouge my eyes out. I told my in-laws about that movie, and they were like, I told them never to touch it, and they said, good. No, the animated one that just came out in the cinema last week.
The one that's getting absolutely ripped to bits by critics.
Yeah, ripped to bits by critics. However, the people are absolutely loving it.
Yeah, well, what was it when we looked earlier? 57% on Rotten Tomatoes by critics. Yeah, 96 for actual people enjoying the film and going to watch it, the audience.
It was fantastic. It had a brilliant storyline to it. It had very good elements. The reservations I had about the voices was gone because once they kind of all melded together, you didn't notice it.
Yeah.
It was very well done.
Unfortunately, I did want to go and watch this over the weekend with Elliot, but we just were too busy over the Easter weekend to manage to make it.
That's understandable. But if you can, please try and watch it because you will enjoy it. I know it will come streaming at some point. I'm not you better watch it, but watch it in cinema is definitely something you should try and get to do.
It depends how long the run is, because I won't get to watch it next week. It's his birthday and everyone will be coming down. So it probably won't be until May I'll get a chance.
If everyone's coming down, just be like, look, it's his birthday. He actually really wants to go watch this movie for his birthday. So let's get across to watch it. Then you can go.
I even suggested that my mum took him to watch it while she was coming to visit. But then I remembered how annoying my mum is at the cinema. And I went, nah, do you know what? Leave it.
Oh, she keep talking throughout the cinema.
Oh, she does that with anything she watches. She sits there going, who's he? Who's he? Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Who's he? Is he going to die? Is that what's happening? And you're like, I've never seen it. Just watch it. Just watch it. And she's like, oh, okay. So who's that guy? And you go, like, I don't know. He just came on screen 2 seconds ago. Last time I went to watch a movie with her, I've told you about this, went to watch War of the Worlds. Was sat there and she was going, when's the intermission? I'm like, what do you mean the intermission? She went, where they have to change the reel or whatever it is, then they come out and sell popcorn and go, they don't. And she went, well, how do we get more popcorn? And go, you just go out and go get it. But I'll miss it. Well, you should have bought popcorn before we came in. I'm like, oh, why did I offer to go to the cinema with my mum?
It's like, never again, that's it.
Yeah. In all fairness, I don't think I really went to cinema much with my mum. Because she always got lumbered going with my brother to watch like Bambi while I was watching Jurassic Park or Ghostbusters for the 50th time with my dad.
I went constantly with my parents growing up. But going back to Super Mario Brothers before we get...
Yeah, well, yeah. No, it's retro-ish. I'm talking about going to the cinema in the 90s. But the big news about this is not only the audiences loving the film, even if the critics aren't, but it's managed to have the highest grossing opening weekend of any animated movie.
I'm not surprised, because with it being Super Mario Brothers, it has a lot of weight behind the name.
Is that because Mario's a bit portly?
No, but that could be part of it. No, if you think about the history, because you've got a lot of older people who grew up with the game, and you've got a lot of younger people because they're like, younger kids who want to watch it because it's Mario, and they maybe grown up with more of the recent games on the Switch. So they've got a massive, broad spectrum of people interested to watch this thing. I think you've got some really good stars in it that have added a lot to it. I think the person who does Luigi's voice is perfect in the movie. And it's just, it all seemed to mold together. Jack Black, though, I'm sorry. Have you seen some of the things that he's done to promote this movie?
I did see it on where he went on the talk show and he comes out in his Bowser onesie.
Yeah, Bowser onesie.
Yeah.
And he even got a custom suit made with Bowser spikes in the back. And he just, again, he did a fantastic job with the voice in that as well. And no, don't forget, this has still got to release in Japan. So think how it's going to be received there as well.
Yeah. So as of about 2 days ago of recording this podcast, it'll be the best part of a week by the time it comes out. The movie had actually already grossed 376 million in ticket sales. Now, that's globally, but as you just mentioned, that doesn't include Japan.
Yeah.
I would imagine that's going to be one of these countries that's going to go mad for this game.
Oh, yeah. I think
it's for this movie.
watching this movie, I feel like there will be more. I don't feel like this is the only installment it's going to be.
It's been implied that there's something at the end of the credits, which I've got a feeling is maybe a little bit like on Sonic the Hedgehog, where you waited till the end of the credits and you got that scene with Tails coming out, and you're like, oh yeah, obviously they're going to make a second one. And overall, though, do you think the quality of movies based on video games is improving recently? Say the last 5 years.
Oh, 100%. You know, when you had things like Detective Pikachu, which did fantastic, Sonic the Hedgehog, both those movies have done absolutely brilliantly. And then Mortal Kombat, compared to the other fighting movies that have been out before, they're getting better. And I think that's because they're starting to, I don't know, see from the game's perspective and maybe get a bit more input from there to be like, we don't screw this over. You know, look what happened in 1993. Let's not do that again.
I think the difference between this Super Mario movie and the first Super Mario movie, which are almost 30 years apart, the one in 1993 was made by people who make movies and like, how can we make a movie and shoehorn this Mario character in and some references?
Yes.
Whereas the movie that's just been released now is made by people who, as you mentioned, grew up playing Mario, who understand, you know, what the Mushroom Kingdom is, what these characters are to each other, and probably a little bit nerdy anyway, so...
But that's the way you want it to be. You want people who are a bit nerdy, who know a bit about it, who can bring something to the table that's going to mold well with everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why we are getting better movies out of these franchises. Like, you mentioned Mortal Kombat there. That's the third movie that I'm aware of in that franchise.
Yeah.
This one was all right. It was a somewhat generic action film, but with Mortal Kombat characters. Second one was atrocious. But I think the third one, they really leaned heavily into the violence, but also the backstory of some of these characters who weren't like, this is Sub-Zero, he can freeze things. It was like, this is Sub-Zero, he murdered Scorpion's family. Scorpion's come back from essentially hell to extract his revenge. And it's got this whole subplot, which... Have you seen Mortal Kombat?
Oh, yeah.
The recent one, yeah.
Yo, yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
You know, movies, they tend to have at least two plots. So there's like plot A and then plot B that kind of goes off in the background.
Yeah.
So obviously Sub-Zero and Scorpion's the plot B to that.
Yeah.
That's the only plot I can remember from that. I can't remember what the plot A is. I knew it had something to do with the MMA fighter, but I can't remember. Was he like the destined one or something, or descendant of someone? I really can't remember.
I just remember all the violent fighting. I remember that massive 6-arm giant getting his ass kicked, and just it was
4.
Was it 4? I think it was 6.
Yeah, he has Goro.
Yes.
Half dragon, 4 armed. Yeah.
He got absolutely demolished. It was definitely a movie, and that's one thing that I will say about Super Mario Bros. No spoilers, but again, the backstory has been a lot of attention paid to that, which is nice to see that there's more to the story to get you more engrossed into it, which kind of gives you a real deep sense of feeling towards the characters.
If I can manage to go and see it, I will.
It's really hard not to say anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to see it for at least 3 weeks, because just thinking about it, as I mentioned, next weekend, all the family's coming down to see Elliot because it's his birthday. The weekend after that is the one that we're going to have his party on. So I'm probably not going to be able to see it until like the first full week in May or something. So I hope it stays out for that long in the cinema.
No one in our office has seen it, and I'm struggling.
Yeah. The thing is, half the people in the office do want to see it, but like, I've not got a kid to take with me, so I'll feel a bit out of place.
I don't know. My brother, he's 25, and he's seen it twice. So,
Well, should we move away from the movies now and actually get into some games?
Yes.
So this is something that we actually mentioned in episode 88, I believe it was. But some footage and a couple of screenshots have popped up of what potentially might be a Jet Set Radio remake or reboot.
Yeah, like Barry's alluding to, there's 3-4 second clip of someone dancing, and it seems to be a more updated graphics. So
yeah, it's definitely more detailed.
It looks okay. There's not much to it, but I guess we're just gonna wait for anything else to come up soon.
If this is real, I don't like the art style that they've gone for.
Why'd you say that? Is it because it's not the janky, edgy?
No, it's nothing to do with the low polygon cell shaded look.
Is the
Although
art
it is
style.
partly to do with the cell shaded look. It's the art style, yeah.
Okay.
It's just too detailed. If you're looking at the screenshots where it's got the three characters on,
Yeah,
there's loads of detail in his jacket,
Hair.
in his hair.
yeah.
I think it needs to be simplified. Do you know what I would like it to look like?
Gone.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, no, I got you. Because there's not too much detail. It's kind of like just one shade.
Exactly, yes.
No, I completely get what you're saying, and yeah, I agree. I mean,
Now, this more detailed look that they've got, it's still cell shaded.
yes,
So there is like a distinct difference between the shaded area of the jacket and the part that's in the lights.
yes.
It's just, I don't need to see every single crease in it. A few creases is all that you need to kind of sell that it's a jacket.
Like in this, his hair is, you can see nearly every strand in the picture, whereas in Hi-Fi Rush, it's literally, I don't know, they draw the outline and then you see the hair, that's it.
Yeah, I'm not keen on it. I'm not keen on it.
You.
And if they do want to bring Jet Set Radio back, or Jet Grind Radio if you're in the US, then I would like to see them just release Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future as like a double pack for a digital download, 4K, up-res the textures and make it look a little bit prettier. Maybe add online play for Jet Set Radio Future and sell it for £25-35 for the two games. Gauge the interest like that before going through with a full reboot. Because if they do a full reboot and it looks like this, and a lot of people like me who love Jet Set Radio think, it doesn't look like what I want it to. Part of the charm to Jet Set Radio is the music and the stylized graphics.
I think they need to kind of put, like you said, put the older ones to engage us again, get us, back into the groove of, here's a game, fantastic, let's play it. Once we've had it for a little while, once we play through it, then jump a new game, because everyone's like, I absolutely love those two games. Let's pick it up. It will pique people's interest again.
Yeah, but not only that, worst case, no one buys it. Then Sega well, maybe there isn't actually a market for this game like we thought there was. But my worry is, if the game comes out, it looks like this, then not only me, but anyone who's a fan of the old style is stuck in a really bad position.
Yeah.
Because we can either not buy the game and Sega go, oh, it done poorly, we're never touching this franchise again. Or think, do you know what? I'll take the hit, I'll buy the game on the hope that we might get more iterations of it in the future. But then Sega go, oh, quite a few people bought this game. They must love this new style.
Yeah, so it's kind of a double-edged blade. It could go either way.
Yeah. Now, there is another set of screenshots of the image that we've got in the notes. However, it's blurred, and from what I understand, it's actually 4 similar screenshots, but they're in 4 different styles.
Okay.
But I couldn't find an unblurred version of it. They blurred it so that you couldn't see the watermark on it, so you don't know who leaked it. I'm hoping that one of those styles was closer to the original games.
I suppose what if they gave the option to flick between 2 styles to go to either more classic or updated?
When I say classic, I don't mean how the old one looked. I mean more like an actual cartoon like Wind Waker or Hi-Fi Rush, a game like that. So it doesn't have to be, oh, I've got potatoes for hands kind of graphics.
No, I completely get where you're coming from, but it's just as more, I don't know, to appease the people who are completely used to it, but then also, if you're new to it, you might want it to be a lot more detailed.
I don't know.
A lot of work there would be.
It is, and it seems a lot of redundant work. To be honest, if they were going to go that way, I'd rather them just get rid of the old style.
Yeah.
Like, ideally, I'd rather them keep the old style and get rid of the new style. But if they were going to keep the new one anyway, I don't want them wasting resources on implementing this switching feature where you can look at how it used to be.
Yeah.
But the rumours are that we might actually see something of this game this year. So fingers crossed, by Christmas, we might actually have a proper look at it.
you never know. They might be kind and they might drop the other two games as deals as digital games.
Yeah, do that. I'm not being funny. There'll be loads of people who want to snap them up, and if they can just put it in 1080p, 4K, and maybe touch up some of the blurrier textures in the game, even if they didn't put online play on it, I'd still buy it again.
Oh, so would I.
And again and again and again. Well, should we move on to some Xbox news, actually?
Yes, and it's been a while since we've had some Xbox news, hasn't it?
It was probably only last episode, knowing us. We're so biased.
Are we?
Well, allegedly. Have you not read some of the comments on some of the YouTube videos?
I tend to pay no heed to YouTube because
we
ask you to put them in the show notes.
There was just really quickly, there's a YouTube short that I'll put up with us talking about Advance Wars, and everyone's piling on how wrong we are on it. So...
As we had nothing wrong with it, it was just the price.
Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying we're completely wrong on. So, I don't know what any respectable person online would do. I read the comments, I saw it from their point of view, and I dug my heels in even stronger.
As if you're wrong.
No, I don't think I'm wrong, but then again, I don't think they're wrong either. But I still think that game's a little bit overpriced. I'd love to be proven wrong when it comes out, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, something that doesn't sound like a bad deal in gaming, Xbox Game Pass is coming to 40 more countries.
I was actually going to put a list of countries, and I was going to put, it's all these like Eastern European or South American countries. And I just looked and they were just all over the place. And I thought, there's 40 countries. And I think I just put in the notes, I'll put a full list in the show notes.
Yeah, you have. In all fairness, I'm kind of guessing we might not have been able to pronounce some of them.
Oh, yeah, we could pronounce them.
All right.
I can't remember. I remember Egypt was on there. I remember Ukraine was on there. And 30 other 8 countries.
Has New Zealand got this?
I don't know if they officially has it, but my brother who lives in New Zealand plays it.
All right.
Knowing him, though, he's probably using a VPN and playing it as if he's in Australia or something.
That was my guess. I can't quite remember if we had that conversation or not.
Yeah, because he's got an Xbox controller and a MacBook, and that's where he plays all his Xbox games.
But just quickly with this, not some random person announced it. Phil Spencer decided to actually put out a video of him telling you that it's been announced. So people have been, as always, scouring the background behind him as well at the same time.
They were a little disappointed because there's not an awful lot of new stuff there.
No.
But they did spot one thing that is still there.
Yeah, and that was is it Project Keystone?
That's the one.
Yeah, so the Project Keystone streaming device is still there on his shelf. So it's kind of given people hope that might still be floated about, or that he's just thought, I'll leave it there.
Do you know what? Honestly, I don't think this will ever see the light of day.
I think maybe one of those books might be a console that we don't realise that's just hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, they'll show us in a couple of years. It's been on my shelf for the last 5 years. It's the Xbox 2 or whatever they call the next one. I think with this streaming device, it's not needed. If Microsoft can get the Xbox Game Pass streaming app on a Fire TV stick, that's it. That's all you would need, something like that.
Well, you don't need to do that. You just need to put on more TVs.
It's already on. Is it Samsung and is it some LGs?
Yes.
Did they announce it was coming on? But yeah, it's on some TVs. You can also get it on all sorts of devices. It's anything with a web browser essentially could probably access it.
Well, yeah, but just launch it, like you said, through the browser. So they're already on so many millions of devices. They just need to keep pushing it that way as they have been. And seems that they just can't stop making deals. I see it going to more places anyway. Yeah,
they're just going to keep doing that. It's going to be a much better use of resources. But talking about making more deals, have you also seen they've entered into a 10-year commitment with EE in the UK?
Do you know what? I did because I have an EE contract. I got a notification on my phone saying it. I was like, oh, that's handy. But it's not going to make a difference to me.
Well, no, it can do, because I misread this. I don't know what we call a fill. I just skimmed over it initially.
Oh yeah, so did I, because I just read Game Pass.
Oh, I take it you've just read it properly then.
Yeah, because I
Go
just
on,
thought,
man.
oh, well, yeah, because I just thought it was just Game Pass games, but it's Activision Blizzard PC games that is bringing as well.
Yeah. Imagine that you've got your phone. When you're in work, you tend to connect it up to the monitor in work, don't you, on your break and watch a bit of Netflix or whatever it is. Imagine, though, if you could then also connect a keyboard and mouse and jump into a game of, well, wherever you want. Bit of Diablo.
Well, that's the thing, because I mean, the amount of times I would just plug my phone to the monitor and I'll sync my control to my phone and play it that way. So, I've got a Dex device. I just need to plug in, like you said, the keyboard and mouse, and then there you go. I can be playing any PC game that way as well.
Exactly. Or chances are you can probably play a lot of these games with a controller anyway.
Yeah.
Even on PC. But yeah, to be honest, I'm actually looking forward to being able to play a lot of these PC games through the cloud, because we've already had announcements that it's coming to GeForce Now and Boostroid. So the thought of not having to have a gaming PC to play a lot of these PC games, that really appeals to me.
No, definitely. And as we said, Xbox can't stop making these deals, but why stop? Keep going, keep pushing out, because bringing more games to more people in so many different places is such a benefit to anyone who maybe can't afford an Xbox, who can just stream it instead.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know my brother's not the best example because he's got arguably an overpriced laptop. But we've mentioned in the past that they're bringing Game Pass to Chromebooks. So potentially someone could have a £200, £250 Chromebook, a £50 controller, and for £300, which I know is the cost of an Xbox Series S, they could have access to Xbox Game Pass streaming, PC Game Pass streaming potentially in the future, and have themselves a functional computer as well.
Last thing, I would like PC Game Pass streaming on my phone. There is actually a Halo game, the second Halo when the Spartan Assault series.
Yeah, I can't remember what the second one was called.
I think it is.
Something like that. It plays the same, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it does. And that's only on PC. I'm like, why can't it be on the Xbox, but I can't stream it on my phone either, so I can only play it on my PC.
Yeah. It's all decentralized computing, but it does make it a lot more accessible for a lot more people.
It does. And EE, they've already got quite a few different deals with the likes of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo.
Yeah.
For like their consoles and accessories. So then people can, alongside their mobile plans, pay for these across like 11 months sort of thing. So for them, it's just another deal to add with the packages.
Well, yeah, it is. If you're on a 2-year contract, you can add an Xbox Series S onto your contract for, I think it was like £22 per month for 11 months or something when I was looking. I'm not saying that's the best way to buy an Xbox, but it's, again, making it more accessible to a lot more people.
Yeah, if you've not got money outright, then, well, there you go.
And they do just the controllers. So again, Once this comes, you can just get the controller, sync it to your phone, and away you go.
Now, before we move on, if you are enjoying this episode, we'd like to ask you for your help in supporting the podcast. The quickest way to do so is by leaving us an honest review on your favourite podcasting app. It only takes 1 minute and it is completely free.
Or, if you're able to, you can support the podcast further from only £1 per month through either Spotify or Patreon. In return, you'll receive an ad-free version of the podcast and get a shout out in our next episode. Now, unfortunately, we recently had news that E3 was cancelled this year.
Wow, wow, wow.
Don't sound too sad. However, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, they're still going ahead with their own showcases. And like we said when E3 was cancelled, they're doing these at times that are convenient for them, not when the dates for E3 dictate that they need to be done. And one of the ones that I wasn't expecting is Nintendo are doing a Nintendo Live in-person event.
I'm not surprised, because this is a way for them to get their own space and show off their own stuff in their own area. I think it was inevitable for them to host their own space because, like we said, they still want the in-person interaction. They just maybe don't want the constraints of having to conform to E3. And then also they're not limited the time because they're running the show.
Well, yeah. Not only that as well, they've done these previously in Japan as well. I think this is probably a bit less than here's our new upcoming games and more of a here's our games, please buy them.
Yes.
Obviously, they still need to sell Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to go on forever.
It is. Looking at some of the previous events, like the one in Tokyo that they done, they had things like a Animal Crossing concert. They had tournaments in Splatoon, Smash, Mario Kart 8, because obviously, oh, have you heard of this game? We've only sold it to every person who owns a Switch so far. And they even had like panels where they tell you about the history of a game or the history of a console, or you'd hear like interviews with different prominent members of Nintendo. So it does seem part PR and part celebration of Nintendo.
I guess to do it that way, they have a lot more user interaction without having, like you said, the constraints of having to stick to the certain timelines. So
Yeah.
they can run these competitions without the fear of encroaching on someone else's, or people don't have to choose between where they're going to go to because it's all going to be set on one stage. It was all run at one time. They'll have more, I guess, play sessions where they'll have consoles lined up for people to play. I know they would do it E3 normally, but it's a lot more controlled and manageable by Nintendo to do it all. And it's not mixed in with everything else as well.
Yeah, exactly. So although there might be 5 different games, the focus is on those 5 games, not, as you say, E3, but like, oh, look, there's new Zelda, but we've only got 10 stations set up, and the queue is 6 miles down the road if you want to have a 5-minute play on it. Yeah, I don't know. It's not something I'll be going to because it's in the US in Seattle, but it's nice to see in-person events making a comeback.
It is. You know, I'd love if they were to do any of these in England.
Is that a hint to Nintendo?
Yes.
Because obviously Nintendo are listening to our podcast.
Always?
Yeah. They're listening and see, oh, what are they moaning about again? What are they saying that we're doing that's overpriced?
I'm saying the same thing to you, Phil. I know you listen to it. Bring Xbox Showcase, in love event over here, please. Thank you.
Well, talking about Phil Spencer and Xbox, there is rumors that they will be holding a potentially up to a 2-hour event in June.
I did actually hear about this, and I'm excited. What are they going to show? Are they going to surprise drop another game? I think after they did it last with the Hi-Fi Rush, I think they've now raised people's expectations to be like, all right, what are you dropping next? What are you dropping next? What are you dropping next?
Yeah. That's why I always start with such a low bar. You never go in with your top game straight away.
Oh, just show us what you got. That's it. And then it's a surprise. You're like, yes, thank you.
The obvious game to show off would be to have the Starfield Direct integrated with this at some point.
Yes, because they are having a special showcase for Starfield itself as well, aren't they, soon?
Well, they said they were going to dedicate time to Starfield. So I don't think it's going to be a 2-hour Starfield event. I reckon probably be 90 minutes, and they might have an hour of other games, what's coming, what's exclusive to Xbox and PC, and then maybe as they close up, have one last thing, and the last 30 minutes of that is here's Starfield, 20 minutes of gameplay and 10 minutes of them talking about the game, and then maybe announce what sort of additions you can get for the game, DLC, stuff like that.
Well, Starfield isn't that far off. It's Is
it the end of this year, or did it get pushed back to next year?
No, it's still this year. It's September 6th that it's due out.
Oh, right. That's actually a lot closer than I thought it was. I thought it was like the end of the year, maybe beginning of next.
Yeah, so it's not that far off.
We can always hope they might actually tell us what's going on with Halo properly.
Oh, instead of just going, we're not doing anything, we'll just release random tidbits. Because, come on, it was...
Where's all the other Spartans?
Yeah.
Although no one likes him. What happened to Spartan Locke? What happened to Blue Team?
Friends in the end. We've got to know. And the way it was left off, I kind of feel like it needs to have DLC. It needs no more. Halo Infinite, I thought this was supposed to be a live service.
Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't completed Halo Infinite yet, but Atriox isn't even dead.
No, it's not. We need to kill him.
And not to be left out, in fact, it's probably in about the next hour. Sony are actually having an event where it seems to be based around Final Fantasy 16.
I know. Sony just couldn't be left behind. I thought, oh, we're going to gag in and get ourselves into this. Now, it will only be a 20-minute state of play where, like Barry said, they will be showing off the upcoming Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, I would imagine maybe a couple more games thrown in there. I don't know if the entire state of play is going to be, but it'll certainly be something that we talk about next week.
It will be, and we'll keep you updated as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, we've come to the end of this week's episode. As always, if you'd like to find out more about anything mentioned, you can do so by viewing the full show notes at retrogamingdads.co.uk. We've been the Retro Gaming Dads, and we'll see you next time.